Why are TV plus internet packages less money than just the internet package? And I'm looking at you, Spectrum.
Americans spend almost $900,000 a month on avocado toast. I mean, I love avocado, but go easy.
Seriously. The building next door to me is being spray painted a new color, and boy, are my ears tired.
Election spam is all bad.
Ugh.
Get a life.
Seriously. And have such a good day. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast, Have Such a Good Day. If you're just joining us, you might say, oh, what a romantic dinner setting they have on their podcast. But this is
very sexy.
It's very sexy. Heather and I are getting married soon. But
I think she's going to propose tonight over dessert.
Excuse me, you should propose to me.
That's true.
I think I am. But this is a completely new thing for us. We have never done the show outside.
It's pretty exciting.
We're not only doing it outside, we're doing it from your new home.
My new place, my new digs. It's pretty awesome, and you can't really see it because it's dark. But it's a beautiful little patio, and there's lots of plants, and it's so lovely. I love it. I'm so happy. Next time we'll do it during the daytime so you can see more. But yeah, hopefully you can see some stars back there.
Man, seriously, we've got Otis, my dog, behind us, and he's very confused.
He's misbehaving tonight.
He's never been to Heather's new house before. He doesn't know what we're doing. There's lights. It's a camera action thing where he's like, am I a star? Am I part of the show? So if you see
can you blame him?
If you see his head pop up here and there, you'll know that he's doing his best, but he's a dog.
He is a doge. But if you're tuning in for the first time and you just stumbled across us, this is called Have Such a Good Day.
Yes, I'm Sarah. This is Heather. We have been doing the show for 15 episodes.
Yeah.
Which is 15 weeks.
Good Annie.
Yeah, it really is. but yeah, we've been dutifully trying to make our community have a better day, with a lot of just sort of, I don't know, the realities of life.
Totally.
And I think, it's funny, we've gotten so much feedback, especially lately. And by the way, thanks to everybody who writes us at hi.havsuchagoodday.com and tweets at us and gets a hold of us.
The community board is getting
lots
a little wild lately.
Community board, the Discord folks, everybody who has given us some really nice feedback.
Oh yeah, great. And it's been all positive. They're just, sometimes it's like, oh, well, maybe it would be really cool if you guys could do this. Is that possible? And we are working on a lot of other fun stuff. I mean, we have trillion ideas. It's not a lack of ideas.
We don't have a trillion, Heather.
I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. Maybe 10. No, just kidding. Maybe 100.
We have a handful.
Yeah. I'm exaggerating.
We have a baker's dozen.
We have like a good 2 handful. I've heard that before.
We have a voluptuous amount of ideas.
Yes, exactly. And it's not for a lack of ideas. It's more a lack of like resources. So again, we are both in the process of moving very close to each other. So it's going to free up a little time for us to spend on the show. We're very excited about that.
Can't really overemphasize how stressed out the two of us have been. Yeah. And we talked about this last week on the show. Like, we're both moving. Oh my God, what's life about? Are we gonna live? The whole thing. Just it's very existential crisis times.
Yeah.
Heather is now in her new place. That's where we are right now. We're sitting on her patio. It's nice outside. Cute. It's warm. There was a mosquito earlier that I will kill if I see it again. Yeah,
because I think there's a Zika thing going on East LA.
Oh,
right
great!
Now.
Oh, good to know. Glad we're moving. But besides that, we both saw each other's new apartments last night, and it was very motivating.
It really was.
And we're going to be okay.
We're going to be fine.
And again, as Heather mentioned, her apartment is so fucking cute.
I know.
It's really great.
Cute. Yeah.
It's so great to just be sitting here right now doing this.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And hence the romantic table.
Right.
I have not made dinner. We had chips and hummus for dinner, and our
Heather, that's dinner.
Reeve Sud Sauvignon Blanc. It is pretty much.
What do you think I need?
Sarah and I have a long history of eating chips together.
All I need is like
corn chips,
like maybe a tiny bit of protein and some carbs. Just keep me alive, and I'll love you forever.
I know how to keep Sarah alive. I really do. Anyway, I wanted to pitch the bonus topic for the end of the show, and this is again for $5 and above patrons, contributors to our show.
Bonus topic that is exclusive to anybody who pays $5 or more per month.
Yep.
Tim Serda, by the way, I remember you. Thank you. You're the best. It's so cool to have you with us. But we've got a growing number of folks who are contributing to this little experiment of ours.
It's so fun.
And as, an added bonus, and for anybody who's not familiar with the Patreon model, please do check out patreon.com/havesuchagoodday, because I think you'll get a little bit more of an idea of what we're going for here. But the bonus topic is something that the rest of the world just doesn't even get.
It's funny. I always find it so interesting to see what you guys want to talk about. And again, we do this poll every week, and I thank you to all the listeners and viewers who contribute to this poll, because it's important. But I think the over the top winner was, what do you miss about being a kid? So we've got a lot to say about that, and I'm sure you do too. So after the show, if you're still only contributing $1, or if you're just debating whether to even do that, these bonus topics are juicy and real, and we really get down and dirty. So if you feel that you want to get down and dirty with us,
straight up in the mud, you want it.
No, but the guard is down. The guard is down.
The guard is down, and it is for the show in general. But it's something that we want to offer the folks that are helping us keep this afloat. So thank you so much in advance. Really, really appreciate it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the week that we've had. I mentioned that moving is just the pits. It's
total pits.
It's the pits. If anybody read my most recent newsletter,
loved it.
Thank you, Heather. Our Have Such a Good Day newsletter for patrons. I mentioned, holy shit, I have moved 20. This is going to be my 24th.
So you really counted
place.
It. That was a real number.
Well, so when I was young, my parents and I moved around a lot. We were renters.
Yeah.
I just wasn't one of those kids who grew up in one house. Mm-hmm. We moved states. Mm-hmm. We moved several times, even, in Sebastopol, where I'd say my hometown is, but I lived in 4 houses before I ever even lived in Sebastopol. Yeah. That's just sort of the way it goes. I was born in Santa Cruz, but I got sort of used to it, and the cadence of the whole thing has become part of my life in a way where I am itchy if I don't move around after a couple of years, but I'm also exhausted by moving every couple of years. And it's this weird thing where I'm trying to figure out, do I just buy something with money I don't have, by the way? But if I were to, and really kind of put down some roots.
But where would that be? I think that's the problem.
I don't know. I think some people know. They're like, wow, no, this is my place.
Is it indecision, or is it just that it feels so permanent to buy? I mean, I guess you could buy, and then if you want to rent it out and go somewhere else, that's fine.
But just the idea of buying something and kind of living there forever.
Yeah.
And putting a lot of effort into making the garden wonderful, because you're not going anywhere and all that stuff.
Pack any boxes.
Sure. There are a lot of
pluses.
Advantages.
Yeah,
to that feeling, but it's not something that I know.
I don't either.
I don't know it.
It makes me a little sad. It's weird. We talked about this last week, but part of me, because you have to take a path in life.
Yeah.
I always wonder about the path I didn't take.
Sure.
I think that's one of my problems, where I think I have a hard time making decisions because of that problem, where I'm like, well, wait, if I take this job, or if I move to this place, then what happens if this happens? What if I could go move over there, and maybe this will happen. And I mean, it can drive you crazy. You can't live that way. But I do understand the feeling. It's amazing that we both kind of have a similar, we've had a similar, kind of life experience in that way.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Like, God, if I could find a really cute little modest house, on a hill, near no construction ever.
Right.
You know what I mean? With a little garden. I mean, I would take this place. I mean, I would buy it. Like, if I could do that, oh man, it would bring peace to my life. I think it would, because you'd feel more settled.
You would, but at the same time, would we? Because
I don't know.
Because we think that sounds great, because it sounds like peaceful.
So what does that mean? Are we like chameleons?
I don't know.
Are we blazing new trails? Like, are we cool in that way, or is it lame?
I don't know.
I mean, I think it's cool. But
all I know is that I've been in my apartment that I'm about to leave, and reluctantly for a lot of reasons. It's wonderful, but it's time. Almost 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the longest apartment I've lived in since I was a child.
Wow.
And the longest place I've lived in, period, was 6 years.
So wait, it was 3? You said 3?
Almost.
Yeah,
not
almost
even
3 years. Yeah.
I mean, I'm moving next week. I was about to say next month. It's next week. Oh my God.
Monday, even.
I know. It's true. It's true. Anyway, it's sort of a funny anecdote.
This is a moth.
Moths happen and
At
will
night,
continue
they
to happen,
do.
especially outdoors.
I don't mind moths. I think they're pretty cool, actually.
I don't have a
they
problem
don't
with
bite.
them.
They don't.
Dragonflies scare me a little bit because
Yeah.
they're so dinosaur-ish.
Yeah, they are.
But they're also very pretty.
They're very pretty, but they buzz really fast, and they're
Yeah.
I understand. They're kind of big.
They're just
like weirdly big. It's like,
it's just too much. I'm also very afraid of bees, but that's
me too,
story
actually.
for another time. Yeah, like
Even though I love bees, I'm scared of them.
I just if there's one near me, I have
my
to
God, me
run
too.
and scream and can't have lunch outside, and it's the whole thing.
I mean, spiders are even worse, but I'm the same way about bees.
Really glad we both moved to places that have like outdoor areas where we're planning to spend a lot of time outside with bees and dragonflies.
Just don't get anything with flowering. If you have a flowering bush or like a plant, that's where the bees come around. But if you have cactus and stuff, like, they don't, they need something that they can pollinate.
So I again, we're moving. Everything's about moving. It's monotonous. Sorry, we won't talk about this much longer. But
after next week,
I did have a funny moment with one of my favorite guys who works at my local market. Mm-hmm. You might call it a bodega. Mm-hmm. I call it a corner store. Mm-hmm. It happens to be on a corner, but even stores that aren't on corners, I call corner stores. But you know what I mean? Yeah. It's a convenience store. And I love these guys. I know when all of them work at different times of the day. I find reasons to like go in there and spend too much money on coffee filters because I like them.
Totally.
And it's walkable and
it's experience.
They're my buddies.
Yeah.
They're all my buddies. Every single one of them. But there's one in particular who works in the morning. Cause I go in and I get, I have like my coffee. I've got Otis with me. He's now passed out.
Thank
finally.
God.
Yeah. Never get a dog. But this morning I wasn't in there because I don't know, I had other things to do. Like I never like a reason to like go get a kombucha, whatever. There's always something. Oh, I need paper towels or toilet paper or a frozen burrito or whatever. Yeah, exactly. And when I finally walked in, it was maybe noon, and he was like, "You're late. What's up?" And I was like, "I'm moving." Which was not the reason that I was late today. I just had other things to do. And he almost cried, actually. He was like, "What? Where are you going?" And I'm like,
why?
Really, really far. Like
you're never coming back. This is not going to be your corner store.
I will come back as much as possible, but like you're not going to see me.
Once a year, maybe.
Well, you'll see me when I come to the beach.
Sure.
And even then.
If you even go to that part of the beach.
Sure. Yeah.
Hard to say. Don't make any promises.
But it was like, honestly, like I could see in his eyes, he was like, "Oh.
Yeah.
Well, oh, okay. Oh." And I felt awful.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm not happy about a new chapter, but it's like this is a person that I don't even know. Mm-hmm. I don't know this person. I know what his name is. I won't say it just for his own privacy.
But you're not close.
I don't know anything about his life besides the fact that we have our little interaction in the morning, but I know that we both really enjoy it. you know, and he's an older guy, and you know, it's not, you know, it's not like ooh, flirtatious or anything. No. None of that stuff. We just like each other. And once I got a dog, you know, now he knows Otis, and it's a whole thing. And it made me so sad that somebody that I know very little about, and certainly knows very little about me, was so taken aback that I was leaving. And, you know, sometimes those human interactions are very touching.
Oh, very touching.
Even if they seem very trivial.
I've had similar experiences. I have a neighbor. I had great neighbors at my last place. I mean, wonderful neighbors. One in particular who, Marcia, that's her name. I didn't hang out with her much, but she was always so sweet. And I would talk to her on the corner, you know. And she just... really good vibes. She sent me a note today. You know, she was really sad, could tell that I was already gone. Like the vibe in the neighborhood was different, and just, you know, like I don't know her very well. She doesn't know me, but there's different levels of love, and I think that there's different levels of connection, and even if it's like really, you know, almost pedestrian or like really simple,
right, or even
one-dimensional,
I don't know, superficial or whatever, whatever the word is. Sometimes it's still very
special.
It really hits you.
Oh yeah,
you know, it hits you in the heart when someone's like, "Oh no, please don't leave."
Oh, totally.
You know, like you make my day better.
Yeah,
and.
Oh, I know. I feel you. And I mean, on that note, because I've had the similar experience where, you know, my the guy who would make my cappuccinos at Blue Bottle near my old house, he almost cried too. Like he was really sad, and you know, it's like, I'll see you again. You kind of have to like encourage that you'll see him again.
Totally.
But but I also want to mention like the people who are really close to you, and when you're going through a tough thing like a move or a breakup or a big life change, man, I just have the best friends. I honestly, including you.
Thank you.
But I'm really blown away.
I'm obviously number one.
Obviously, I mean, we're getting married. I mean,
I better be number one, or we're gonna have some real marital problems.
My question is: are you gonna want to get a professional photographer to take photos of us? Sit in the shoebox for eternity.
I mean, dude, we do the show on an iPhone, so sure.
Yeah.
Doesn't take much these days.
But I had a friend that called me, you know, on my moving day in the morning, and she sang the Stevie Wonder song, I Just Called to Say I Love You. Aww. For like, not the whole song, but like a couple refrains. And it was very sweet. Her name is Jill. She's actually a $10 patron.
Hi, Jill.
And I believe she still listens.
Well, let's hope so.
You
know, don't throw away your money. This is good content.
It's good stuff. Come on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know Jill.
Yeah.
We all go way back.
Yeah, we really do.
And our lives have taken many twists and turns.
Oh, they really have.
And they will continue to, and that's a beautiful thing.
It really is a beautiful thing. You know what else is a beautiful thing?
What's that?
Do you know that pot is legal now in Canada? It happened today, it's a Wednesday, so you won't get the show until a few days later, but it happened today. I mean, TBD on that.
All right, so, okay, so, and the reason we're talking about this is, of course, in the U.S., in certain states it's legal, federally, still illegal.
It's big deal.
There's a lot of legality shit to deal with, that those of us who care about these things pay attention. So you're saying blanket Canada legal,
except for edibles,
good to go,
not for another year, which I think is interesting. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. I think because when you have an edible, it's
a little bit harder to gauge.
I think your motor skills and also like it you know, can hit you real hard. It could make you horizontal. You know.
I mean. I personally,
we actually already took some tonight. So
no, we didn't. If we did, though,
we would tell you. We would be totally
we would want your
honest.
support.
Yeah.
Tonight was not one of those nights, but no, I'm with you on that. I actually kind of stay away from edibles.
I know, I do
for
too.
the reason of me being like,
make you kind of
I might be a little nuts.
Well, yeah, you're like, you might wake up in a ditch somewhere, and
in fact.
I'm serious, actually.
It was, yeah, like not even really kidding. It wasn't the last time I took an edible. It's happened since then, but it was a few years ago, and I remember you gave me, I think I was like feeding your cats. You were out of town.
I remember this.
I remember you being like, there's like a tiny bit of something in the freezer, but like, just have a little. Just have a little. Yeah. And it was like a nub where I'm like, a little of what? Like, this is like a crumb. And I took it and I had quite a night by myself in my apartment. And I remember at one point being like, I'm so glad I'm alone right now because I am insane.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
And like, I wasn't like having a bad time, but I knew I couldn't be in public.
Yeah. I think that's why.
There was
I'm pretty sure that's why. Yeah. I mean, I could tell you some crazy stories of being in the Paris metro, trying to find my way, and having eaten very strong cookies that a friend made that didn't tell me that they were very strong. So I had no idea how much to eat. Anyway, one thing I wanted to mention is what's interesting about this is that it's going to be easier for people who have been convicted of like possessing like small amounts of pot.
Sure.
They'll get off a little easier.
Yeah.
Which is also, that's a really big part of the news. You know,
Sure.
I think that's an important thing to mention.
Yeah, I actually, I had a friend recently tell me about, well, you know what? I'm not even going to get into that story. However, I have heard more stories than I care to count of people being what I think many of us would consider unfairly prosecuted for small amounts of something
totally.
that was not meant to, you know, hurt anybody. And I think we're going in the right direction.
We definitely are.
Also in the right direction, and this is kind of funny. So I've now that we're moving, and I actually don't have a garage at my new apartment, which is not a big deal. Parking seems fine, you know, around the neighborhood. But I lease my car, and my lease is going to be up in a couple of months, and so I have to figure out what I'm going to do.
Mine too, man.
Yeah.
We're living parallel lives.
Totally. And you know, I might have tried to live that Uber life, but I've got a dog, and so it's probably not going to happen for Sarah. I want to be able to cart him around when I need to. However, a lot of people are living that life, and when I say Uber life, I mean any sort of ride-hailing service. Lyft is another. And there are, depending on what market you live in, obviously there are quite a few. But going back to Lyft for a second, Lyft has a new subscription plan. This is actually something it was testing in certain markets over the U.S., but has decided to roll out nationally because it's been going well enough to do so. The deal is that Lyft has a subscription plan, $300 a month. It has been testing this in certain markets across the U.S., has decided to roll it out nationally because it's been successful enough that the company thinks it's a good idea. You might say, like, $300 a month? What does that get me? 30 rides.
Dude.
And there are a couple of caveats.
Okay.
So the rides have to be $15 or less. If the rides are more than that, then as a rider, you're going to make up the difference.
Yeah.
But if you subscribe to the plan, you also get 5% off of future rides. So let's say you're 31st and 32nd or whatever, like you're still getting a discount, but they don't roll over.
Yeah.
So in the month of November, if you take 29 rides, you don't get 31 the next month.
Yeah.
So it's really designed for people who are continuously ride hailing, don't have a car, and it makes sense. A lot of corporate folks say this is awesome. And I know some folks who are already taking advantage of this.
I kind of like it. If it's $300 a month, that's way cheaper than my like car lease and my insurance. Well, I guess insurance is a separate thing, right? Well, you don't need insurance.
No.
That's insane.
That's why
I might want to do this.
That's why it's very advantageous to a lot of folks.
Especially if you work from home and you maybe have an occasional meeting across town.
Right. Because my first reaction is always like, oh, but like, is 30 rides enough?
Yeah.
Well, there are many days that I don't drive.
Yeah.
So
me
for
too.
me right now, and who knows, like maybe my life plan will change.
That's the thing.
Right now, it would be enough.
Maybe,
I wouldn't use 30 rides a month.
Actually, this is great because both of our leases are up in February. And I was even debating, I kind of want to get like an electric car or, some kind of hybrid, but like something, kind of on the cheap. But man, that if we're still in the same situation where it's like work from home style, that actually sounds great. You know what's funny? My dad is always on, like, has his finger on the pulse of stuff. Like, he has really good instincts. And years ago, like, when Uber first started, he did the calculations, did the math, and he was, like, trying to convince me to just Uber and get rid of my car.
Yeah.
Don't pay insurance. And he was right. I mean, I think that if you plan it out right, it's kind of the smart thing to do. Then you don't have to drive. You don't have to be responsible for.
No.
You can work in the back seat.
You give up on some autonomy.
Sure.
You give up on some spontaneity.
Mm-hmm.
Even though,
That's true.
And again, we use the word Uber, but, Lyft. And, in LA, it's very easy to get one of the services within a couple minutes of wherever you want to go. So it's not like you're going to sit around for 20 minutes, like being like, where's my car? But, it is, I think, for a lot of folks, so much cheaper than they realize.
Oh my God,
and the funny thing is that, so this TechCrunch article is what I'm, quoting for what Lyft has been rolling out. And Lyft and many other companies say, okay, well, in United States, and obviously different markets are very different depending on where you live, but if we just focus on the U.S., is like less than 1% of all of the, driving time that is happening. But the company's like, give us 20 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be 80%.
Totally.
And I don't know if that 80% number is exactly accurate, but it will be high.
Oh, yeah.
Because people will realize, it's nice to be carted around and not have to pay insurance.
And the insurance
and
and just being responsible for anything,
and sort of that urban migration that, rather than like the, folks getting, we have seen, at least in some markets, like the resurgence of people wanting to be part of an urban, area rather than get away from it.
Yeah.
And that's where this works.
Exactly. I think it's brilliant. So is Uber's not doing this quite yet? This is a Lyft thing?
This particular situation is Lyft.
Okay,
but
cool.
you can do subscriptions with Uber as well.
That's cool because I think it would be easier in a city like San Francisco or
Sure.
New York, where it's like it sort of begs you to not own a car.
Right.
I think LA is going to be a little tricky. I think it would depend on your situation because it's so spread out and often we're having to trek across town. But I am so into this. In fact, I didn't know about this and I've been kind of stressing about this lease thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, $300 a month I find that to be, again, 30 rides, but I don't know. I mean, I want to do the math. This could be a great option. I love it.
Well, what's nice about it is like it's not like a cable subscription where you have to like sign up for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like if
you can cancel month to month, right?
I
love that.
If a couple months go by and you're like, I'm not using 30 rides, or like I'm going way over, the money doesn't work out for me. Fine.
I love the cancel month to month. Like people who have you on the line for longer, it's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's really mean. But yeah, I'm sorry. And I know some people are not enjoying the swearing on the show. I did want to mention that, some people are okay with it and some people aren't.
Who's not okay with it?
There's some people that have written in about it. And I respect that. I respect that everybody, it's hard to make everybody happy, but apologies in advance if I do drop an F-bomb.
Yeah, same here. And actually that's something to address really quickly is that, because I host other podcasts that are family friendly and we know it. And like, you're not going to hear an F-bomb because we know that people's kids might be listening.
Yeah.
Because it is sort of gain knowledge based kind of stuff. This show, hopefully you're getting some knowledge, but it's a little bit more of a free form type of thing. So if it is something that, I don't know, really bothers you, I care.
Maybe we make a clean version.
But I also feel maybe, but I also feel like
make your life a living hell.
I'd rather just talk the way that I talk.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know.
And
It's
again,
controversial. It's controversial.
We
care though, just so you know.
The community is always right, like the pedestrian.
Oh, it's so true.
So yeah, if it's something that you feel strongly about, let us know one way or another.
So speaking of slightly controversial, I read this article in the New York Times this week. And did you ever see that show, Girlfriend Experience on Stars?
Yes, loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
The first season, anyway.
Yeah, it was weird. It like changed
the second season
dramatically. Different actors and like I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't understand. But so there's this thing called sugar dating, and it's a whole business now because there's a lot of these young people, like in their 20s, who have a lot of debt from, student loans. Sure. And they, they can't make ends meet by working at a coffee shop. And so they, there's some stories about these young women who go on sugar dates, which, it doesn't always mean sex. It's oftentimes like maybe sort of an older man wants to be a mentor, or they want to be a companion. It doesn't always mean that.
But it might mean that.
It might.
Yes.
It might.
Right.
But it's interesting because sugar baby students will often receive like, I don't know, $2,000 to $3,000 like allowances a month. But they will earn $20,000 more than just a student working full time, like at some kind of like, a minimum wage kind of job. So
Sure.
it's quite significant. The reason why I bring this up, and I don't want you to get the wrong idea, but I was thinking, so I moved into this little house, and it's my dream house. I mean, it really is. It's like the perfect little bungalow, like on a hill. It brings me peace and joy.
It's amazing.
It really is. It's like a garden on the outside, like both like in the back and the front. It's just so cozy, and it speaks to me. It's a very wonderful place. Probably I've had some great places, but
you have,
and it's small.
But this is a good one.
It's a really good one. It's small. The square footage isn't a lot, but there's an outdoor space that's very special. Anyway, I was like, I've been kind of in and out of work, in and out of freelance work, and so I'm kind of coming toward the end of the year, kind of thinking about the things that I'm doing for money, and I thought
you might be a sugar baby.
Well, not necessarily, but I would say that I was thinking about, I'm used to a certain quality of life, and I'm not talking about like a ball in life. I just think that I want to feel safe and comfortable in my home. And it's harder and harder to get an affordable place in these cities where there's jobs. I mean, let's be honest, it's getting difficult. A lot of these rents, I mean, you and I both, we've had a certain amount of success.
Yes.
We lived in these kind of big cities with tech and video production, and we keep getting into these situations where the rent is too high. So this place is a little beyond my means, and I was thinking to myself, I love it so much. Like, how far would I go to keep it?
Right.
I will shrivel and die if I can't stay here. Like, I can't move in another 5 months. I can't do that to myself.
No.
How can I stay here longer term and justify the slightly higher rent if I can't get the high-end jobs I'm used to?
Well, and it's funny because I took a road trip a couple weeks ago with a friend, and we were listening to, I don't know, some hip-hop song, and it was something about a stripper pole, and I was like, you like strip clubs? And he was like, nah, do you? And I'm like, not at all, because I'm always like, I don't know, the whole thing feels like sad and weird, and I like overthink it. It's just not fun to me. It makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
However, I think it's also not totally fair of me to be like, if you're doing this, you have a bad life.
Yeah, totally.
You can do that if you want to.
Sure. They're a prerogative.
You can have a relationship that is a nice little seesaw that works for two people if you want to. Yeah. Of course, the rest of us might be like, well, that's a little bit unconventional.
It's easy to judge.
Yeah, but and I, obviously having somebody like pay for your life is not like the answer to your problems. No. But I also think it is an interesting question to ask.
It is. Yeah, how far would you go to like keep your comfort and your sanity and your
without feeling like you're giving up who you are as a person at your core?
Totally. And let's just say as a side note, dancing around a pole is pretty hard, and I think there's a real skill set that you really have to like train. Exactly.
You're a gymnast, and kudos.
So, kudos.
And you have nicer boobs than I do.
More than a handful.
Hey, no judgment, but yeah, it's. I think there are a lot of there are a lot of judgments that people have about other people's lifestyles because they just don't understand them.
And there's always, nothing is black and white.
Right.
There's always layers to stuff.
Sure.
And you got to be careful. You got to do your research, and you got to really think it through, because with anything, there's layers and layers upon layers.
Well, good, Heather. Your sugar baby life is going to be wonderful, and I look forward to hearing about it on episode 16. Hey, so did you know that so this is, let's set this up a little bit.
Yeah.
So last night, Heather literally moved into her house
and we got
yesterday.
A drink, and we had dinner last night. Was it last night?
It was.
That's
I
so
know.
cool.
I know.
We went to the local little bar. We walked down. It's like
time
the
and
closest
space
bar
is hard to
both of our
understand
places.
for us right now. Like, we don't even really know who we are. In fact, we walked in wild-eyed,
totally,
like a couple of wild wolves.
We really
and
did.
We're and
the
bartender, Heather's like, I just moved today. I usually look so much better, and he was like, can I get you something?
I'm like, something with mezcal and a tamale of some kind, please.
He was polite, but I
so
think
hungry,
he was
so thirsty.
He was like, I don't really need to know all these details, but we were like, you need to know why we look this way. Anyway, got a drink that it was bourbon drink, and it was
mezcal.
It wasn't.
It was
bourbon
mezcal.
Drink. Okay, it felt like bourbon. Anyway, so it was one of those drinks where I'm like, I'm not much of a liquor person.
Yeah,
so
you're more of a wino.
Just whatever.
Yeah.
But that's why this next story doesn't totally apply to me, but I think it would matter to a lot of folks, because when you think of whiskey, you think of, at least for me, it's like I think of Ireland or Canadian whiskey.
Sure.
You want to go to Scotch. Same idea.
I love Scotch.
Right? A little Scottish thing. Certainly a lot of Japanese whiskey. But you don't really think of the U.S. as being a whiskey hub. Bourbon, sure. You got Kentucky bourbon, right?
Yeah.
And of course they're related. Well, turns out that William Laneau Weller, which is
LaRue or Laneau?
Laneau.
Oh.
I'm sorry, LaRue. You're right. Kentucky-based.
Drinking too much whiskey over there.
Buffalo, Buffalo Trace Distillery was named world's best whiskey. Not for the first year or the second year, but the third straight year.
It's funny. I mean, I feel like I'm familiar with a lot of whiskeys, but I'm not sure I've heard of this William LaRue Weller guy.
Well, I have not
I'd like
either.
to try it.
I thought it
Very
was
cool.
It's just God bless the United States.
Seriously, I'm so glad we're not going through a prohibition time, because that would suck.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
I'd be making it in my bathtub.
Oh,
not even kidding.
Seriously.
And I will go to jail for my liquor.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know. It's yes.
No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
What is it based on? What is the criteria?
The criteria, well, it's
obviously taste and quality.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's taste, it's quality, it's, people who are connoisseurs of these things,
Sure.
which I am not. I've definitely had whiskey. I don't really like whiskey. I've tried to like it a little bit more over the years.
Yeah.
My mom loves a good sniffer, but I don't really like it.
Linnell's so cool.
Yeah. Well,
she's the coolest.
She is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I don't. I'm not the kind of person who would be like, well, this is the best whiskey I've ever had. Give it a shot.
I don't think I could do that either. I think I can do that more with mezcal. In fact, I do think that I'm pretty good at knowing if it's a really high quality mezcal.
Oh.
I do. But with whiskey, I have friends that are, real connoisseurs. But
yeah.
So really quick, we're going to do a very, very quick reminder that we are on patreon.com/havessuchagoodday.
Yes, we are.
And if you are trying to understand any of our tiers or what we're trying to do here, please email us at hi@havessuchagoodday.com. We are happy to talk to you and chat with you. Get onto our Discord. Discord is like a chat thing. You can chat with us almost every day. I mean, sometimes we kind of go MIA because we're busy packing
But the whole idea, and I've seen this works really well for other podcasts too, is we want you all to get to know each other as well.
We already have a little group of people. There's actually, I would say maybe 3 people right now who are I think buddy now.
And that's like
it's pretty cool.
It
makes us happy.
That is my goal more than
totally.
I mean, sure, like talk to us, but it's so fun. I actually feel like my goal in life is to have people say, "Oh, we met each other through your show.
Totally.
Thank you so much."
Yep.
And now we're really good friends. Like that makes me way happier.
It's DJC Posts, Leah Hunt, and KJB26. Those guys are like they're like our mainstays. Like they're in there.
You guys the best.
They are the best.
The best.
Anyway, moving on. I wanted to I read this article a while ago. But it resonated with me today because this is my pretty much officially my first day in my new neighborhood. And it's a sort of a little village in Los Angeles, in East Los Angeles, called Echo Park. Mm-hmm. It's a really sweet little place. There's a lot of, there's kind of, it's sort of a mix of cultures, and there's a lot of variety. You
I like to call it a friendly hodgepodge.
It is a friendly hodgepodge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And today, so I explored a little bit. I wanted to explore, the local park, and I went to a little cafe for lunch, and I realized, I've been here for, I guess, about 3 days, 2 days, but I've had enough experience over here to like be familiar with it. I feel like people are friendlier over here. I'm only a 25-minute drive. Even less if there's no traffic in West Hollywood. That's where I've lived for the last almost 3 years. And there's something about this side of town. There's no pretension. People are very, very, very friendly.
There's probably some pretension.
Well, maybe there's some pretension. but the friendliness I really have noticed. Like it's different. There's a different vibe over here, which I thought was really cool.
I have lived, as we mentioned earlier on the show, it's like when you move around a lot, it's like there are certain neighborhoods that just resonate better. Yeah. I remember when I lived in Potrero Hill, which is a neighborhood in San Francisco. Great neighborhood. Kind of an enclave. You would almost call it a suburb.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, wow, people look me in my eye in the morning and say, good morning.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's, you know it when you feel it.
Yep.
And when you don't have it, you go like, man, I live in a city and whatever, I'm just cool.
You have to reciprocate too.
That's true.
But
I think, I think that counts for a lot.
It does,
especially the older we get.
Oh, for sure. And it makes you feel more at home. And it made me think about, well, what are like the friendliest cities in the world? And I'm sure Echo Park isn't necessarily on there because I don't know if even people would consider it a city because it really is just Los Angeles. It's more of an enclave.
I think Los Angeles would not be.
No, definitely not
on the top 10.
Do you want to guess like what
friendliest cities? I would say that Denver's got to be in there because everybody says Denver is like so great.
I've actually heard that too, but you know what?
No,
it's not.
What about Portland?
No.
Whoa. Okay.
So the ones that are one.
Well,
that I thought
if we're talking about the world, maybe I'm thinking too U.S.
Actually, don't even think any U.S. places. San Miguel de Allende, which I went last year in Mexico, which is like a central town in Mexico, which I could vouch for that because it's a very like expat, kind of community.
Okay.
Very nice people. Another Cork, Ireland, which I have never heard of Cork, but
I've heard of County Cork. In fact, wait, I've been there. God, I don't even know where I've been anymore. Ireland in general is pretty friendly.
You're right. They're very
pretty friendly,
which is weird because it's cold and windy, but maybe
that's why you're friendly.
Yeah, maybe
because you're all in it together.
Have to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why everybody's an alcoholic.
New Zealand, which doesn't surprise me. New Zealand seems like a magical place.
Well, again, you're far away from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
You got each other.
Another Ireland, Galway, Ireland. Another Mexico. Like I understand why Mexicans are very friendly. They really are a very warm culture. Dublin. Wow, Ireland's getting like, and then also some Canada.
Don't even talk to me about Irish people being friendly. Look at me. Am
I
not
the friendliest?
Am I not the friendliest person you've ever met?
Chiang Mai, Thailand, which I actually could go to next month. I have to make a decision about that.
You could go to an elephant preserve.
Oh my God, I really want to.
Do it, please.
I really want to go, but then I have to leave my wonderful little bungalow.
I know. You just got here too.
Kind of a homebody right now. Is that kind of a problem? Is that a that an issue?
Listen, you
I love traveling. I really do.
Yes, being crippled by such wonderful choices.
I know, it's like a positive problem.
Is a good thing for you. But okay, so friendly cities. Okay, so U.S. we're out. We're out of there.
Echo Park though. I think it's maybe
Echo
in the
Park,
top 20.
We're gonna come back next year. We're gonna come back and get you, Ireland.
And last week we plugged, we have gotten a few more iTunes reviews, and we're so grateful because I think we're at 14 now 5-star reviews, which is awesome. It makes me so happy every time we get a review. Seriously, one of them I just want to read. There's a couple. There's a bunch of great ones, but just for brevity's sake, Mind Run Free says, Sarah and Heather are personable and interesting. I tend to be impatient with podcasts, but this one absorbs my attention. I feel like I'm sitting there with them having fascinating conversations. And that's kind of what we're going for. And we're really, really happy that it's coming through. And we just love hearing from you guys. And, having these reviews is really helpful because we want to spread the word to the world. We obviously have this going on in our communities and our Rolodexes, but we want to try to break this out into, we think other people would like it. So how do we get it out there?
Right,
help us get the word out. Tell a friend.
And yes, please. That's a great way to do it. We so appreciate everybody who supports us on Patreon and is truly keeping the show going. But if for any reason you cannot, tell a friend. Spread the word. Mm-hmm. A good iTunes review is super helpful.
Goes really far.
Just any of that stuff is Heather and I have on purpose not tried to make this show too much of a pigeonholed thing.
Yeah.
We'd sort of jokingly be like, the show's about nothing. It's about lots of things.
Sure.
But it's so therapeutic and cathartic for us to kind of just like make it whatever happened this week.
Yeah.
And
because so much happens every week. I mean, in your guys' lives too, not just ours.
Yeah, and one of our monetary goals, our milestones on Patreon is if we get to a certain point, we'll do 2 shows a week because the content is there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we have it's coming out of our ears.
Right. We'd love to do it.
Yeah, we would.
In fact, if we could do this all day, I think it'd be really
happy.
happy.
It'd be so amazing. We did
then
like
I'd really
5
marry
shows
you.
A week. I know. Seriously, we'd have to. We would be somehow like legally married just by default.
Right. It's like some sort of legal documented, like, listen, if you do enough podcasts together, you're married.
No, but they do that with like if you've lived together for like 7 years or something, like you're legally married. Right. So it would be like if you do X amount of podcasts together.
So if you want Heather and I to marry each other, we will.
On camera.
Right. I'm not going to be her sugar mama because I don't got no money. But it's okay.
Maybe I could be your sugar mama if I can get my shit together.
Yeah. Why did I immediately go to that? Like, I can't take care of you, Heather. Take care of me.
Anyway, find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, whatever you're using. I'm sure we're on it. And if we're not, let us know.
HaveSuchAGoodDay.com is also
our
the place.
Website.
That's our website. If anyone's like, sounds like you like the show, where do I find out more? I don't know anything about podcasts. Send them there. All the links are there. They'll figure it out.
They will.
That is sort of our ground zero for everything. But again,
check it out.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's like midnight is something like that.
It feels like midnight. It's 8 p.m. Pacific. So it is midnight somewhere.
But is it Pacific Standard?
No, it's Pacific Daylight, Heather. It's not standard time yet. Everyone should know this. It should be on your Google Calendar. Like, you have no excuse.
So when does it turn?
Soon. It's right after Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
man,
like
it
November
does really
3rd or
change
something
after
like that.
Halloween.
Yeah. But it used to be before.
Yeah, you're right.
And the reason I know this is because when I was a kid, okay, yeah, I'm not going to get into
Sarah's crusade.
I'm not going to get into my crusade too much. But here's why I know this is because when I was a kid and you're going to go trick-or-treating, you want it to be dark because, like, that's fun.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want it to be, like, daytime still because then you feel like you're a little kid and it's lame, right? You want it to be, like, kind of scary.
Yeah.
And so it used to switch to standard time, which means it gets darker earlier at night, right before Halloween. So, like, you'd kind of be like, it's going to be, like, light and lame. Oh, no, now it's dark.
Yeah.
Well, it has changed. Now it's after Halloween. So sorry, kids. But the rest of us enjoy our daylight.
That's just very interesting, actually.
Yeah.
You love Halloween. I know how much you love your
don't like it
dressing
at all.
up in costumes.
But I love my time zones. And I love my standard versus daylight time. And I will never give it up until the world...
I'm going to knock on your door and ask for candy because you're right down the street.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
I haven't even thought about that.
I have actually a couple of cool Halloween parties I'm going to if you're interested.
I don't want to go to either of those, but I'm just thinking like I'm now like in a house where like people can be like,
yep, that's
hello?
true. Mine, I've got my gate, so people probably won't. Oh, I'm so stoked about that.
Oh God.
Anyway, all right, $5 patrons, please stick around. Our bonus topic is coming up real quick here. And for
everyone else, we love you very much.
We really do.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Heather.
And have such a good day.
See you next week.